spots for some fire arrows.
Hello boys and girls, welcome to my
find a
channel,
herd.
I'm for Classic and welcome to BenchART. And this is another day where Sony loses a big exclusive. So we have in here Horizon Zero Dawn running on this laptop with an MX130, which is the same thing as a GT 940 MX. Keep in mind that this is the GDDR5 model, which makes a huge difference in performance comparing to the DDR3 model. Alright, so Horizon Zero Dawn, it is developed by Guerrilla Games, which is a developer team that never released any game on the PC. And now we have Horizon, but it's not by their hands, alright? The game, it was developed by them, but the port, it was developed by Virtuous, which is a developer team that also ported games like Heavy Rain and also Beyond Two Souls, and it was pretty good, but this one not so great. Alright, looking to the settings, I'm running the game at 720p and I'm using a dynamic resolution set to 30 frames per second, and I'm also using the low settings, but as you can see, you can go lower than the low settings. So basically you can disable the shadows entirely. But not only that, when you disable the shadows, it feels like you actually are missing more stuff than the shadows. Feels like something on the lighting, it is also changing. I'm not sure if it is just me, but I really feel that there is something more missing than the shadows when you disable the shadows. So let's take a look first on the requirements before displaying the results that I did got. So the minimum requirements on the CPU front, it is not really beefy. It asks for an FX CPU, so yeah, it is fine. It also asks for 8 gigs of RAM, which I'm not really sure if it is enough, honestly, and it is also asking for a GTX 780 or an AMD R9 290 with a minimum of 3 GB of VRAM, which is something that we don't have. We don't have a graphics card with that as powerful as the 780, and we don't have that amount of VRAM. So obviously the performance, it is not great. So playing with the low settings, which includes shadows, I got an average of 28 frames per second with a 1% wall of 21, so it was playable but not great, alright? And with the minimum settings, which disables all the shadows, I got an average of 30 frames per second and a 1% wall of 25, so basically your experience won't be very different than the low settings, and you don't get any shadows at all. So I do prefer to play with the low settings. Having shadows, despite the performance it is pretty bad, at least I get shadows. But what I do also get, it is thanks to the dynamic resolution. The resolution in-game, it is not really 720p. Yes, on the screen it is 720p, but the internal resolution which the game renders its game, it is completely dynamic to try to achieve 30 frames per second. And as expected, it just drops the internal resolution to very, very low values to try to achieve 30 frames per second. And many times it just don't achieve. As you can see, I'm just getting 26. So clearly the dynamic resolution, it is dropping as much as it can, the resolution, so it can get close to 30 frames per second. But even so, it is not enough. So the visuals are quite bad in that regard. I really think that the low settings on this game, despite it is worse than the PS4, it is actually pretty good, but what is really ruining the visuals for us, it is really the very, very low resolution that the game it is renders. Although if I do raise manually the resolution scaling, obviously the performance will be pretty bad. So yeah, this is the best we can get in this game so far, unless new patches comes out and optimize the game. So talking about patches and optimization, let's talk a little bit about the game and the problems of the port, because I mean, the game it is great, although on Steam you can clearly see that its reception, despite it sold a lot and a lot of people are actually playing the game, the score that the game have on Steam, it is not that great, and it is kind of a mixed results. Alright, so let's talk a little bit about the port. So again, like I did told you, this was ported by Virtuous, and unfortunately for the first time on the PC, I think they haven't really made the best job in the world. Alright, there are some issues with with this port. For example, the anisotropic filtering doesn't work on this game, so you can change the options, it does nothing at all. There are other options like the frame rate cap in this game doesn't work that well, but this is something that also happens with a ton of other games. The same can be said about Vsync. The Vsync doesn't work that well, so if you want to use Vsync, I do recommend you to use the Nvidia control panel instead. Yes, and well, there are other issues. This game suffers sometimes from flashes and glitches. If that happens, it means that your shader cache it is corrupted. It also means that you need to get out of the game, go to the install folder of the game of the Horizon Zero Dawn, and you need to find a folder called local cache dx12 and erase a file called psocache.bin, because it means when your shader cache gets broken or damaged or corrupted, you start to see artifacts. And in fact, in this video I saw a couple of ones, so maybe I need to do this. So yeah, that's an issue, because to generate shader cache it really takes a lot of time on my desktop, and for most desktops out there it just takes 10 minutes, but on this laptop it took me pretty much almost half an hour. So this is what you expect the first time you enter the game. It's going to take a ton of time to load. Alright, so yeah, that's quite unfortunate. So the optimization, it is one of the main complaints that people have with the game. Well, I'm not really sure if this is a good reason to complain. Yes, the game it is very demanding, and it gives a sensation that it is bad optimized, alright? But I'm not really sure about it, because this was a PS4 exclusive. Alright, I'm pretty sure this game was never planned to come to the PC. And this makes the ports very, very difficult. I'm pretty sure of that, because there are a ton of stuff that you do when you are building a game that can be prepared for releasing on the PC or other platforms. But Horizon, it was never planned to be released on the PC. And since it was an exclusive, and we know how Sony works with their exclusives, their exclusive teams always try to push boundaries when it comes to visuals and performance. So all these exclusives take advantage of any single optimization that they can for the consoles. And as you know, on the PC, despite things are improving with DirectX 12 and Vulkan, you are going more low level and close to what consoles have. Still, there are still a ton of tricks which consoles can do that they can't do on the PC, because PCs are always different. There are multiple configurations. That's why you need to generate a shader cache at first. And well, it's never possible to, you know, to get the same performance as you get on a PS4 with a game that was taking so much advantage of the hardware of the PS4. But still, the game could also be bad optimized, alright? But at some point I do understand if the developer team gone out and say something like, okay, we couldn't optimize more because it was very complex. There were exclusive instructions for PS4 that we couldn't port to the PC directly, so we need to go through other ways that were more demanding. If the developer said something like this, I would entirely believe, because it makes sense, alright? It makes sense why the game it is very demanding at first. But the problem is there are other issues. For example, the facial animation, it is locked to 30 frames per second, which is not an issue for us because we barely get 30 frames per second. But for people that can enjoy the game at 60, they will feel that the game feels choppy on their animations, because the animations, some of them are locked to 30 frames per second, because again, the game was never supposed to left PS4 or to run above 30 frames per second at first, because it was never planned for that. This was never planned to happen at first. And yeah, I think this pretty much sums all the issues with the game so far. So there are other issues which are very, very important. It is multiple crashes. Many people say that the game it is very unstable. Many people can't even start the game. That the game just crashes or just randomly crashes. They play like 5 minutes and crashes. Well, honestly, that thing didn't happen to me in any of the systems aside from my Intel HD 620, which it's pretty normal. It's an Intel GPU, alright? And my Nvidia GT740M, which is equivalent to a GT920M. It is exactly the same card. Although I saw people running with the GT920M on YouTube, and I'm not being able to do it because it just crashes when producing the shader cache. So yeah, there is clearly some issues with the game, but so far, and yes, it is clearly bad optimized, or at least the performance it is not what I was expecting to be. But with the MX130 you can actually run the game. Although yes, the frame rate it is not the best. The visuals are completely broken with this low resolution. But if you want to play the game, and if you really want to play the game and you feel that you can play the game like this, go ahead. This is your results. This is the experience that you are going to get with the MX130 or the GT940MX. And that's it. So let's now talk about prices. So on Steam this game costs $49.99. Keep in mind that this includes all the DLCs that was available for the consoles. It's all in one single pack. It packs everything. But if you want to buy it cheaper, without buying on illegal places or less legal places like gray market stores like G2A or Kinguin, if you don't want to buy on those stores, you can buy through Greenman Gaming, which is a certified online store where you will buy the game for $43.99, which is the price at the moment. It's a €6 discount comparing to Steam. It's a 12% discount, so if you can buy cheaper, why you should buy on Steam? But the good part is that you buy the key through Greenman Gaming, and they will send you out the key to you through email, and you can go to Steam and activate that key on Steam, and you will have the game on your Steam account forever. So buy through Greenman Gaming and activate the game on Steam. That's it, and you save €6, which you can save for buying anything else that you want, or save for another game, or just go out and drink a couple of coffees, and that's it. Alright guys, so I think that's all that I want to talk about Horizon Zero Dawn. Hope you did enjoy the video, and I do hope to see you soon. Goodbye.
Still got it?
I do. But you'd need to bring me a scrapper lens. What can I say? Special weapons don't come cheap.
Oh, I can pay. Took down a scrapper not long ago. Stripped out the lens in perfect condition.
I'll be the judge of that. Show me. I thought you wanted a tripcaster. I'm ready. Now that you've got yourself a tripcaster, practice how to use it someplace else, all right? My life's exciting enough without a bunch of shock wire booby traps to trip over.
Really? Could have fooled me. Will you be around later, in case I want to make another trade?
I'll be here. Same as usual, bring me the parts you harvest from any machines you hunt. The better the parts, the more shards I'll pay. Be sure to take a close look at my inventory, though. Who knows? Maybe I've got something that could give you an edge in the proving.
I guess that concludes our business.
All right. Good luck in the proving. Blessing of All Mother and all that.
Dirty outcast.